everybody.
Hi.
It's Mecca,
And Ace.
and today, I'm not going to do the whole thing. We already failed our fun intro once. We are doing something that for the first time for us, maybe not the first time for the internet, but we're going to do a scene redraw from one of our favorite shows, the Netflix Castlevania anime. And yeah, we're going to go by kind of what I picked up while doing this little project, critique it a little bit, and talk about the art of the show maybe a little bit. We've done it before, but we can do it again.
Yeah.
And yeah, just look at our good boy Trefoil. It goes without saying that the first thing I did when doing the scene redraw was I looked at the scene. That was kind of a big part of it.
Yes.
I also took, and maybe this is blasphemous and maybe we shouldn't call it a scene redraw, but as you can see, I'm changing the composition up a little bit. I really wanted to focus on the pose and the action itself and how to emphasize and see if I could push it further. I don't want to say improve it because I think this is the thing that we had trouble.
For the most literal sense of the term, you did technically redraw the scene.
But again, so I don't want to say that we improved it because the issue that we had with picking a scene to redraw was that
this is more of a drawing your style.
Finish my
Sorry.
Simple. Anything that we pick that we want to draw fan art of or redraw, we already really like. We like it because it already looks really cool. There's not going to be a lot of scenes that entice me enough to redraw them that aren't already cool. So maybe the next scene we redraw should be something like, hey, picking something like really out of our comfort zone kind of thing, because this is action. But what I want to do is I really wanted to play with the upward scale of it. Yeah, it's a little bit drawing my style. I want to make sure I stuck relatively on model and proportion wise onto the show itself. But there's definitely some parts where I leaned into my own thing, like especially in like the head shape for Trevor. I feel like I think I got the monster pretty spot on. Which again, this is one of those things like when we think of Castlevania, we think of all these epic monsters. There's a lot of really simple kind of copy and paste guys. This is just a giant minotaur, basically. It's just a big horned cowboy. But
this was from season 2?
Season 2, yes. Okay. This was when the monsters invaded the Belmont Hold.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I think one of the things to like kind of take away from the whole like idea of realizing how simple some of the monsters in Castlevania are, even though that's kind of like a big part of the show, is like whenever you're doing something so monster based, you really have to you have to have those classics in there sometimes, because like when you think monster, you're gonna think bovine at some point. You're gonna think of exaggerating all that. And as you see, I have the scene that we're redrawing up in the right for reference. I also had it open, and this is why I really want to do a screen grab and not just the Clip Studio time lapse for all of it. Because there were multiple times where even though I wasn't doing a one-to-one trace, again, I think one of the big things about doing these scene redraws is it's a great time to like learn, whether it's about your process or how to sell it. In this case, again, even though I do a lot of dynamic action anyway, I can still learn from it. So I'm really trying to look at poses that I don't draw too often and how to keep it dynamic. And one of those things is constantly looking at your shoulder line, your hip line, and then your eye lines. And you want to make as many intersections with those as possible. And then make it perpendicular with lines behind or in front of him was kind of a big thing I noticed. You know, see, one of the things that I'm getting critique right away again, wasn't trying to draw it one-to-one, like especially in the cape motion, I gave a lot more like geometry to it. Those legs are a lot thinner in the show.
Trevor's like very top heavy.
He's very top. I think that's just like a thing with a lot of the characters though, is that like they're very traditionally proportioned. Like monsters get bulky limbs. I think it's just that I exaggerate limbs. I like big legs. It's just, I think growing up in like the early 2000 like Nickelodeon culture, a lot of those kind of cartoons had those like tapering out limbs.
Those flash animation games.
Exactly. Like that's just the style that I've been doing a lot lately. So, and I'll go in and I'll kind of trim it down some. But again, it's just kind of something where you realize, hey, it's what I do. And again, This is another thing, trying to get that line of action, seeing what exactly the pose was, because he's kind of rolling out into this cut in the animation. So I'm looking at how they continue to sell that. And I'm just realizing that as much as I love exaggerating motion and everything, there are still things that I can, I'm pushing what I push, but there's other things for me to push, I guess, is kind of one of the big takeaways there.
Mm.
And it also gives you time to really look at how much is essential for a character design, what really makes him stand. Like, I always have, if I'm not looking directly at Trevor's hair, and even as I'm looking at it, his hair always confuses me a little bit.
He got that be shown in hair.
Yeah, he does, but it's just, I don't know. Again, like the show is so like realistic and grounded in some ways, but you still have those classic anime or exaggerated things like hair is normally a couple base shapes. I don't know. It's when I think like I said, if you told me to think of Trevor and draw him from memory, I'm definitely not going to get his hair right, because to me it's not. I guess for me it's just not what I look at. Here's another thing, like I said, I definitely did not get his head on model. I still try to pick out what made him recognizable, but I definitely flattened out that chin. But also something that Powerhouse does, not just this, but some other of their Netflix productions that they do, is even if the head is still kind of wide, they kind of imply that jawline with that distinct shadow plane on the side of the face, if you can see it. And I'm definitely going to try to emulate that.
So do you think, like, even though some of the changes are subtle, it's still important to keep that same overall silhouette when doing the redraw? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it depends on what style what you're drawing from, so what you're referencing and what your style is. Like if I wanted to draw this in a Gravity Falls style, again, there are definitely some parts that you need to kind of keep the silhouette of. Like the hair, I think, again, depending on how you do it, you have to kind of keep the suggestion of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also, I imagine it's going to be kind of different for each person. Like I said, what do you think of when you think of the character without seeing them? For me, Trevor's tunic is one thing that I would think of straight away. Like ammo belt esque X across his chest. The fur on his boots, the color obviously is a big part. Which for this scene, it was kind of annoying to do it because like obviously it's all blue tinted, so you don't really get the true Trevor colors. I'm gonna pick a skin first, and slapping down that weird blue for a skin tone.
Ooh, yeah.
Before everything else is in there is really freaking weird. But when it's one of those things that obviously, like again, you can see it up there in the corner now. Once everything's there in context, it works. But yeah, and constantly, like I said, as you can see, I'm going back and really tracing over because, again, if you're working on a show and really trying to stay on model, you flat out trace your sketch a lot of times, I think. But
makes sense, yeah.
When you're trying to study, I still want to trace to kind of get that shape, but I'm doing my final drawing in my actual project document, obviously. So I'm trying to, because again, the best way to learn is just to do it, I think. And that's why, the classic idea of someone drawing, you see them like holding their pencil up and like moving it in the air. Sometimes, that's measuring, but sometimes that's literally practicing the motion or the line, kind of getting that muscle memory and, figuring out the kind of curve that you need. So, yeah. I am overall happy that I feel like you know if you're doing good, for me at least, if before you get your fills in, you still can be really happy with the line art. And I am pretty dang happy with this. One of the things I chose to push, obviously, was throwing in my spot blacks. You can see me getting my fill shapes in now. And of course, anyone that was paying attention was like, you still haven't drawn a face yet. Yeah, faces are hard, especially if I'm trying to stay on model for a face. So there was a lot of looking at a close-up shot on my other screen, and I just had to get a whole another sketch layer going for it.
There's a whole like argument like you try and stay on model, but at the same time you're not.
Yeah.
It's a weird contradiction.
Like I said,
that I just noticed.
There's definitely, because like if I wanted to stay on model and recreate the scene, I could do that. It's gonna just be me tracing it though. Like, there's no point to drawing something again if you're not going to, you know, put your own spin on it. But also, it's a scene redraw. You have to find, like I said, what is important to the scene. What are you taking from it? So again, for me, pose. Pose is what I like to work. What I like. So I want to work on pose. The face, I don't have my own distinctive style when it comes to drawing faces, I don't think. So that I really did, as far as like the mouth shapes and the nose and the scar and everything, that I really did try to, stay on model pretty reliably.
This might be the cleanest face draw that I've ever seen you do.
And it's still so small and tucked away. It's not even a close-up. I do. So one thing I changed that wasn't something I was trying to change, but I do like it. If you look in the original shot, his hand is kind of like pushed back. I kind of like that I let the hand stay down, like it's on the floor a little bit more. Mainly just because I think it looks it just promotes a slightly different action, I feel like he's sliding out and stabilizing himself to make that cut, which to me is just, I don't know, it's fun.
Felt a little more realistic.
I don't know if I can say that. I'm still having him chop a giant tree trunk of a bovine leg. Yeah, the rest of this is going to be pretty relatively self-explanatory. There is a little treat at the end. We did animate this. So yeah, if you like this, please let us know. If you think that we should do other Castlevania redraws, let us know that too. Misfit is going to be doing some new projects to come in 2025. I had to remember what
year is it?
Yeah. So look forward to that. Yeah, we're going to be really trying to dedicate. We're going to take a little bit of a break from that camp. It's not done. We're still going to play with it, but we're going to try to focus on some other projects that we think y'all will enjoy a little bit more, because I think it's just, we've been working on Hate Camp for a while, and we need to be able to embrace other things. And yes, maybe try to make some big moves here soon. So look forward to that. Comment, like I said, scene redraws, fan art you want, tutorials you want to see. We got some lettering comic tutorials coming at you soon. We got some animation, some After Effects-esque animation tutorials coming up, so
a lot of things, good things are coming.
Yeah, be good or Santa's gonna beat your ass.
No! Bye.